Cleaning up the Rock River. It's been a topic of conversation west of the Quad Cities lately.
Leaders in Dixon, Illinois have made it a priority, but they're getting a lot of help with it too. Joining us right now is Mayor Leandro Ariano Jr. of Dixon, Illinois. Mr. Ariano, good morning. Thanks for joining us here on GMQC at 11.
Very glad to be with you.
Hey, talk to us about why this has been such a priority for not only you guys, but the federal government.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, for the Rock River, there was a lot of industrial use in the past decades and past century, and not all of it was nearly as regulated as it is now. So we had a situation where the heart of our downtown, which is very beautiful, right next to it, we had some terrible environmental issues. And as we tried to do economic development to turn that into usable space along the river, we found levels of contamination that were so high, the state actually had to alert the federal government. And the good news is the feds, instead of super funding it and fencing it away for a couple decades, they started investing directly into cleaning it up, because the Rock River, it's a national water trail. Everything that impacts it goes all the way downstream, through the Sterling Rock Falls area, through the Quad Cities and your area to the Mississippi. And so they started doing heavy remediation.
How much money has the city spent on the cleanup of the rock, or have they had to spend any money at all?
We have. So we're somewhere in the six figures. We use environmental engineers from Frere Graham as our partners. The state of Illinois has also come in and done some testing at no cost to us. And it was actually the state of Illinois that saw the economic impact potential of the river, saw what we'd already invested in the region. Just to the east of the target area, we've invested millions of dollars in building up. So this was kind of an extension of that. Those areas didn't have as much environmental impact though. So we've invested millions just to the east of it, several $100,000 just in this project. And now the federal government is closing in on $4 million worth of work, including sediment removal out of areas of the Rock River that have fish advisories. So we're hoping that actually helps with the fishing and use of the Rock River here and downstream.
Are you guys getting feedback from residents that you guys are spending too much money?
No, actually, I think there's a lot of pride in the Rock River and the jewel that it is in the center of our town. And one of the growing demands of the community was find better ways to utilize it instead of being an eyesore, an industrial eyesore of a past era, of how to revitalize it and turn it into economic development. And one of the advantages of going into this project is the success of the downtown to the east of this, which has been a huge driver in tourism, in quality of life for our local residents, in sales tax generation, which allows us to do more projects without raising our existing tax rates. So that's been very positive. The one issue we do have to run into and be considerate of is all parts of town want investment. So the one risk we have to consider is we don't want to pour so much of our attention into the Rock River and downtown that other parts of town feel neglected. So that's something we've been very conscientious about. As we build in paths, for example, we won over $3 million in Illinois transportation grants to put pathways down there. We're finding ways to use those paths to connect all the different parts of town, increase mobility, increase the people of without vehicles to get to work, to get to employment regions and support the whole town. So I think building those kind of plans into your river plans is important for the positivity of the community.
I want to switch gears real quickly. You've got an important press conference coming up today because we're learning more information about a pedestrian bridge. Talk about, is the city investing any money in this? And also, did the cleanup of the Rock River have anything to do with this pedestrian bridge that will be built in your city?
So those are great questions. Yes, we just found out about that this week. The two federal senators alerted us that Dixon was going to be getting roughly $12 million from grants from the federal government to put up a pedestrian bridge. There's an old railroad viaducts. In fact, this project reason is called Project Viaduct Point, that we've been trying to convert into usable space. This $12 million is going to go toward the next phase. So this environmental cleanup is part of the existing phase, and the ITEP, that $3 million grant way, is part of the next phase. Now we have the money funding for that. We are spending money, so there will be probably a little under $1 million worth of work on the city's end. in support of that grant, somewhere around $800,000 to $900,000. That includes engineering, additional construction and support and mobilization costs. And then the $12 million will go towards, right next to this area, there will actually be a boardwalk rising into the air from the Viaduct Point area that we just cleaned up onto the old railroad viaducts that were carrying the old trains across the river, and rebuilding that bridge into something pedestrians can use to travel safely. Our historic high school is on the other side of the river, Page Park's on the other side of the river. We're going to be connecting for pedestrian use and for high schoolers and educational purposes these two parts of the city in a very safe and beautiful way.
Mayor, I gotta let you go because unfortunately we're running out of time. But I appreciate you joining us here on Good Morning Quad Cities at 11.
Thanks for having me.